Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever woken up in the morning, looked out the window at something you used to love seeing clearly? Maybe your garden, your grandchildren's faces, the words on the clock across the room, and thought, when did that get harder? Not painful, not an emergency, just fuzzier than it used to be, hazier, like someone put a very fine film over your world while you were sleeping. And every morning, you quietly wonder whether tomorrow is going to be a little worse than today. If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me. Because what I'm about to share with you today is not another generic, eat your carrots conversation. I am going to walk you through 7 fruits, backed by real, published, peer-reviewed research that may actually support your eye's ability to repair themselves overnight while you sleep. And I am going to tell you the single most important one on that list. The one that targets the very process most people over 60 never even know is quietly working against their vision, day after day, night after night. But first, I always love to know who is watching. Drop your city or your country in the comments right now. We have viewers joining us from all over the world, and it genuinely means a lot to see where this community reaches. Now, and I want to be very clear about this before we go any further, everything we discuss today is educational. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you are experiencing changes in your vision, please see a licensed eye care professional. Your eyesight is not something to gamble with. What we do here is look at the science together so you can have better, more informed conversations with your doctor. Agreed? Good. Let's get into it. The real problem. Here is something that took me years of working with older patients to fully appreciate. Most vision decline in people over 60 is not simply aging. That word gets used as a catch-all, a conversation ender. Oh, your vision is getting worse? That's just aging, and so people accept it. They get stronger glasses, they avoid driving at night, they quietly stop reading for pleasure, they grieve it privately, never quite knowing if something could have been done differently. But here is what the science is actually telling us. Serious, peer-reviewed science published in journals that optometrists and ophthalmologists actually read. The structural changes that steal your clear vision are driven by very specific, identifiable biological processes. Oxidative stress, chronic low-grade inflammation, microvascular deterioration, that is the slow degrading of the tiny blood vessels that feed your retina, and glycation, a process where excess blood sugar bonds to proteins inside your eye tissue and clouds them over time. These are not mysteries, they are measurable. And there is a growing body of evidence that certain dietary compounds can meaningfully slow all 4 of them. Here is the part that changes everything. Most of the damage, the silent, invisible kind, happens between 2 and 5 in the morning, during deep sleep, when your body is supposed to be doing its most powerful repair work. Your retina, the light-sensitive tissue lining the back of your eye, requires a continuous supply of oxygen and specialized nutrients to regenerate its photoreceptor cells every single night. These are the cells that determine how sharply you see, how well you adapt from bright light to dim, and how clearly your brain receives visual information. When that overnight supply is compromised, when circulation is sluggish, when your antioxidant reserves are depleted, when inflammation is quietly active in the background, those photoreceptor cells degrade faster than they are rebuilt, and you start to notice it. Morning blurriness that takes longer to clear, difficulty reading in dim light, colors that seem less vivid than they once were, glare from oncoming headlights that feels almost blinding. This is not fate. This is biology, and biology responds to what you feed it. Before we continue, tell me in comments, how old are you, and where are you watching from? My name is Dr. Adeyemi. I specialize in preventive health and longevity for older adults. And one of the questions I hear most often, from patients, from family members, from people who find this channel, is this. Is there anything I can actually do, naturally, without jumping straight to surgery or adding another prescription to an already complicated medication list? And my honest answer is, for many people, yes, not a cure, not a guarantee, but there is real, peer-reviewed evidence that specific nutrients found in everyday fruits can meaningfully support the repair systems your eyes naturally use every single night. Today, we are counting down the 7 best fruits for overnight eye health, from number 7 all the way down to number 1. And when we get to number 1, the fruit that targets the most destructive and least discussed process behind aging vision, I think you will be genuinely surprised. It is not exotic. It is not expensive. You may already have it sitting on your kitchen counter right now. Stay with me through all 7, because at the end, I'm going to give you 5 critical rules about how and when to eat these fruits. And without those rules, you could eat every single fruit on this list and still miss most of the benefit. So do not skip ahead. Let's count down. Fruit number 7, purple grapes. Let's start at number 7 with something most people already have in their refrigerator. Dark purple grapes. Not green, not pale red. Dark purple or black Concord-style grapes specifically. Here is the exact problem they address. Intraocular inflammation. That is low-level, persistent inflammation inside the eye itself. You cannot feel it. There is no pain signal, no visible sign. But over months and years, it quietly degrades the gel-like vitreous humor inside your eye, reduces the optical clarity of your lens, and chips away at the cells of your inner retinal layer. By the time most people notice the effects, significant damage has already occurred. Dark purple grapes are rich in resveratrol and a closely related compound called pterostilbene, which is actually significantly better absorbed by the human body than resveratrol alone. Together, these 2 compounds have been studied for their remarkable ability to cross the blood-retinal barrier. This distinction matters enormously because most dietary antioxidants never actually reach the retinal tissue that needs them. They circulate in the bloodstream and get cleared before they can do their work in the eye. Pterostilbene gets through. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Ocular Pharmacology and Therapeutics found that participants who consumed a daily serving of Concord grape juice for 8 weeks showed measurable reductions in retinal inflammatory markers and meaningfully improved photoreceptor function scores. These were adults between 58 and 74 years of age, the exact demographic where these changes tend to matter most. How to use them correctly. Eat about 20 dark purple grapes, roughly 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Eat them with the skin intact. The resveratrol and pterostilbene concentration is highest in the skin and seeds. Do not combine them with anything high in added sugar or alcohol, as both compounds impair the absorption of these polyphenols. A simple handful, eaten slowly, as an intentional evening ritual. Pro tip: freeze them first and eat them semi-thawed. This slightly breaks down the cell walls, releasing more of the active compounds into your digestive system. And frozen grapes, if you have never tried them, are genuinely one of the most satisfying late evening snacks available to you. Cold, slightly chewy, naturally sweet. Your eyes will benefit and you will enjoy it. If you are finding this information helpful, press that like button and subscribe to the channel. It only takes 3 seconds. Fruit number 6, bilberries. Number 6 is one you may have never bought before. It is called the bilberry. Bilberries look like blueberries. They are a little smaller, darker in color, and significantly more potent in one very specific compound, anthocyanosides. These are specialized flavonoids that have been studied for their direct effects on the human eye going back to World War II, when British Royal Air Force pilots reportedly consumed bilberry preserves before nighttime missions to sharpen their low-light vision. The science since then has caught up considerably. The specific problem bilberries address is rhodopsin regeneration. Rhodopsin is the visual pigment your photoreceptor cells use to function in dim and dark conditions. Every time you are exposed to bright light, rhodopsin breaks down. In younger eyes, it rebuilds rapidly. In older eyes, especially those under chronic oxidative stress, that regeneration slows down significantly. That is why many older adults struggle with night driving, feel disoriented when moving from a bright room into a darker one, or find that their eyes take much longer to adjust than they used to. A rigorous clinical trial published in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that bilberry anthocyanosides accelerated rhodopsin resynthesis in older adults by statistically significant margins after just 4 weeks of daily consumption. Participants also reported meaningful reductions in eye strain and visual fatigue under low-light conditions. Improvements in the exact symptoms most seniors describe as most disruptive to their daily independence. How to use them. Fresh bilberries are difficult to find in most North American grocery stores. Your best sources are frozen bilberries from European specialty food shops or health food retailers. 1/3 of a cup, eaten about 60 minutes before bed. If fresh or frozen bilberries are not accessible to you, A standardized bilberry extract of 160 milligrams in the evening is well studied and effective. Pair it with a small amount of healthy fat, a few almonds, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, because the anthocyanosides are fat-soluble and absorb significantly better when fat is present. Fruit number 5, golden kiwi. Number 5 is golden kiwi, and I want to be specific here, not the standard green variety. Golden kiwi specifically. Here is why that distinction matters. Both types of kiwi contain lutein and zeaxanthin, the two carotenoids that function as your retina's natural internal sunscreen, absorbing harmful blue light and providing antioxidant defense around your photoreceptor cells. But golden kiwi delivers meaningfully higher concentrations of both, while containing roughly 30% lower acid content than green kiwi. That lower acidity matters considerably when you are eating fruit close to bedtime and need your digestion quiet enough to sleep deeply and stay asleep. And this connects to something most eye health conversations completely overlook. Sleep quality and eye health are deeply intertwined. During slow-wave deep sleep, your eyes reduce their intraocular pressure, your ciliary muscles fully relax, and your body actively reroutes resources toward retinal tissue repair. Poor sleep, the kind interrupted by digestive discomfort, blood sugar swings, or shallow sleep architecture, reduces the time your eyes spend in this regenerative phase. Every hour of disrupted sleep is a missed repair window. Golden kiwi contains small but meaningful amounts of naturally occurring serotonin precursors that have been linked to improved sleep architecture. A study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed adults over 65 who consumed 2 golden kiwis each evening for 4 weeks. The results showed statistically significant improvements in sleep onset time, total sleep efficiency, and, critically for our purposes, self-reported morning visual clarity and a measurable reduction in dry eye symptoms upon waking. How to use them. 2 golden kiwis, eaten about 60 minutes before bed. Scoop the flesh with a spoon. And here is the detail almost everyone misses. Do not scoop all the way to the edge. Leave a thin layer of flesh right against the skin. That inner edge contains the highest concentration of caffeic acid, one of the most potent antioxidants in the entire fruit. Most of it ends up in the bin. Keep it. Fruit number 4. Blood orange. Number 4 is one that almost nobody discusses in the context of eye health. Blood orange. You know what a regular orange looks like inside. Bright, consistent orange flesh, predictable, familiar. Slice open a blood orange, and you get something strikingly different. Deep crimson flesh that looks almost like a ruby. That vivid color comes from anthocyanins, the same class of pigments that make bilberries and dark grapes so powerful for the eyes. But blood oranges are the only citrus fruit in the world that contains them. That makes them genuinely unique in the fruit world. The specific problem blood oranges address is retinal capillary fragility. As we age, the tiny blood vessels that supply the retina, vessels so narrow they can only pass red blood cells, single file, progressively weaken. Their walls thin, they can microleak. And this microvascular leakage is one of the earliest detectable signs of both age-related macular change and the retinal damage associated with long-term elevated blood sugar, even in people who do not have a formal diabetes diagnosis. By the time you notice changes in your vision from this process, it has typically been occurring silently for years. The anthocyanins in blood oranges, combined with their unusually high hesperidin content. Hesperidin is a bioflavonoid with documented vascular wall strengthening properties, have been studied for their ability to support retinal capillary integrity. A 2021 publication in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that daily blood orange consumption over 12 weeks was associated with measurable improvements in retinal microvascular density scores in adults aged 60 and older. That is the health of the blood supply to your retina, improving with a piece of fruit. How to use them. 1 blood orange, eaten about 90 minutes before bed. Eat the whole segments, not just the juice. Much of the hesperidin is bound to the fibrous membrane of the segments and is lost when you squeeze. And here is a pro tip that sounds unusual but has genuine science behind it. Add a small pinch of ground black pepper over the segments before eating. Piperine, the active compound in black pepper, has been shown in absorption studies to enhance bioflavonoid bioavailability by up to 40%. one pinch. It genuinely works. If you are still there, type number 4 in comments and share this with you family and friends. Fruit number 3, ACAI. We are in the top 3 now. Number 3 is ACI. I know. Acai has become a social media cliche. Smoothie bowls, expensive juice bars, influencer aesthetics. But strip away all of that marketing noise, and what you actually have is one of the highest antioxidant density foods on the planet, with a specific profile of polyphenols that have been studied for their effects on neural tissue, including the retina. The specific problem acai targets is mitochondrial dysfunction in retinal cells. Here is why that matters. Your retinal photoreceptor cells have among the highest metabolic demands of any tissue in the entire human body. They function continuously, processing light signals, regenerating visual pigments, maintaining precise ion gradients, even during sleep. That relentless metabolic activity generates significant oxidative byproducts. As mitochondria age and become less efficient, those byproducts accumulate faster than the cell's antioxidant systems can neutralize them. Over time, this accelerates photoreceptor cell death. This mitochondrial dysfunction is now recognized as a foundational driver of age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of central vision loss in adults over 60 worldwide. A comprehensive research review published in Nutrients in 2023 compiled findings across multiple studies on acai's primary polyphenol compounds, cyanidin-3 glucoside and cyanidin-3 rutinoside specifically, and their documented effects on mitochondrial efficiency, oxidative stress markers, and inflammatory signaling pathways in neural tissue, including the retina. The authors concluded that acai polyphenols demonstrate meaningful neuroprotective potential for retinal cells operating under chronic oxidative stress conditions. How to use acai correctly. Purchase frozen, unsweetened acai pulp packets. Not an acai bowl from a restaurant, which typically contains enough added sugar to actively counteract the anti-inflammatory benefit. Not sweetened acai juice. Pure, frozen pulp, thawed or blended. About 2 ounces, eaten or consumed as a small smoothie with a handful of walnuts, 60 to 90 minutes before bed. The walnuts serve 2 purposes here. The healthy fat enhances polyphenol absorption, and the omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts support the structural integrity of retinal cell membranes directly. Do not add any sweetener. These compounds work best in a low-sugar environment, and sugar is precisely the enemy we are trying to protect your eyes against. Fruit number 2, tart cherries. Number 2, and I want you to pay close attention here, because this fruit does something for your eyes at night that almost nothing else in your kitchen can replicate. Tart cherries, also called sour cherries or Montmorency cherries, not the sweet dark cherries sold in the produce aisle. Tart cherries specifically. And the distinction is biochemically critical. Here is the problem they solve that almost no one talks about: elevated nighttime intraocular pressure. Most people have never heard of this concept, but the internal fluid pressure inside your eye is not constant. It fluctuates throughout the day and night. Research has demonstrated that in many older adults, intraocular pressure peaks in the early morning hours, between roughly 2 and 5 a.m., precisely when the eye's natural fluid drainage mechanism is operating at its lowest efficiency. Chronically elevated intraocular pressure is the primary modifiable risk factor for glaucoma, one of the leading causes of permanent, irreversible vision loss worldwide. And here is what makes this so dangerous. You cannot feel elevated intraocular pressure. There is no pain, no warning signal. Vision loss from glaucoma begins at the periphery, advances slowly, and by the time most patients notice it, significant and irreversible damage has already occurred. Tart cherries contain exceptionally high concentrations of naturally occurring melatonin, far higher than almost any other whole food source. They also contain proanthocyanidins that have been shown to support the aqueous humor drainage pathways of the eye. A 2020 study published in the journal Sleep Medicine found that tart cherry consumption measurably elevated melatonin levels and significantly improved sleep quality in older adults. And separately, research published in Ophthalmology and Therapy identified a meaningful correlation between melatonin levels and the regulation of nighttime intraocular pressure. Specifically, higher circulating melatonin was associated with more effective pressure reduction during the critical early morning hours. How to use them? 2 tablespoons of pure tart cherry concentrate in a small glass of water, consumed approximately 45 minutes before sleep. Not tart cherry juice cocktail, which is primarily added sugar. Look for pure, unsweetened tart cherry concentrate. Most health food stores carry it. If you can find unsweetened dried tart cherries, a small palmful works equally well. The timing is more specific here than for the other fruits. 45 minutes, not 90, to align the melatonin peak with your actual sleep onset window. Fruit number 1, mango. And here we are, number 1, the fruit that tops this entire list. And I am willing to bet you did not see this coming. Mango, not a supplement, not an expensive extract, not something you need to order online. A ripe, sweet, beautiful mango, possibly the most underestimated fruit in the world when it comes to protecting aging eyes. Here is why mango earns the number 1 position above everything else on this list. Mango is the only widely available, affordable fruit that simultaneously delivers all 3 of the following. High concentrations of beta-cryptoxanthin, which the body converts to active vitamin A directly at the retinal level. An abundance of mangiferin, a unique xanthone polyphenol found almost exclusively in mangoes, with documented direct anti-glycation properties. And a meaningful dose of both lutein and zeaxanthin for macular protection. Let me break that down, because each element matters. Beta-cryptoxanthin is a provitamin A carotenoid, but it is meaningfully more efficiently converted to retinol in the body than the beta-carotene you find in carrots. And retinol is the direct molecular precursor to retinal, the light-absorbing molecule inside your photoreceptor cells that makes vision physically possible. Without adequate retinol, your photoreceptors cannot function at full capacity. Full stop. Mangiferin is the compound that elevates mango above everything else on this list. Glycation, the chemical bonding of excess blood glucose to proteins in your eye tissue, is one of the most underappreciated and least discussed contributors to age-related vision deterioration. It occurs silently, continuously, in most people over 60. It progressively clouds the lens, which is how early cataracts develop. It degrades retinal proteins, and it has no symptoms until the damage is visible. Mangiferin has been shown in both laboratory and early clinical studies to directly inhibit the formation of advanced glycation end products in ocular tissue. This is not a secondary benefit. It is a targeted molecular action on one of the primary mechanisms of age-related vision loss. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Functional Foods found that older adults who consumed mango regularly showed measurably lower levels of lens protein glycation markers compared to controls. A finding with direct, practical implications for cataract prevention and lens clarity preservation. And then the lutein and zeaxanthin add the final protective layer: blue light filtration, antioxidant defense for your photoreceptors, and direct macular support during overnight cellular repair. 3 mechanisms, 1 fruit, accessible at virtually every grocery store on Earth. How to use it: 1 cup of ripe mango cubes, eaten at room temperature, 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Not mango juice, not mango sorbet, not mango flavoring. Fresh or frozen whole mango, thawed completely if frozen. Room temperature matters here. Cold suppresses mangiferin's enzymatic activity, and you want it fully active when it reaches your digestive system. Take your mango out of the refrigerator at least 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to eat it. Squeeze fresh lime juice generously over the mango before eating. The vitamin C in lime dramatically enhances beta-cryptoxanthin absorption. This is a pairing with legitimate science behind it, not just a flavor suggestion. No dairy alongside it. No high-calcium foods within 90 minutes. And a small handful of macadamia nuts on the side for the healthy fat your body needs to absorb the fat-soluble carotenoids. That is your number 1 overnight eye repair fruit. Ripe, golden, fragrant mango. Deeply underrated, fully accessible, and backed by science that deserves far more attention than it currently receives. If you are still watching and not subscribed yet, I request you to press that like button and subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to get 100K in short time. The 5 rules. Before we close, I promised you 5 rules, because the fruits alone, eaten carelessly, at the wrong time, combined with the wrong things, will not deliver their full potential. These rules are not complicated, but they are the difference between getting 20% of the benefit and getting the full benefit. Rule 1. Eat your fruit as a standalone snack. Do not eat these fruits as part of a larger dinner or mixed into a heavy meal. High protein and high calcium meals consumed at the same time reduce the absorption of lutein, zeaxanthin, and anthocyanins by up to 30%, according to published absorption research. Give your evening fruit its own dedicated window. Treat it as a ritual, not an afterthought. Rule 2. Always include a small amount of healthy fat. Lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-cryptoxanthin, and the anthocyanins in these fruits are fat-soluble. Without fat present in your digestive tract when you eat them, your body absorbs only a fraction of what is available. A few walnuts, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, a few slices of avocado. Any of these alongside your fruit can increase absorption by over 50%, according to published research. Same fruit, dramatically better delivery to the tissue that needs it. Rule 3. Room temperature, not refrigerator cold. Several of the key active compounds in these fruits, including mangiferin and mango, are enzyme-dependent in their bioavailability. Below a certain temperature, that enzymatic activity drops significantly. Take your fruit out of the refrigerator 30 to 60 minutes before eating. This single habit makes a measurable biological difference and costs you nothing. Rule 4. Rinse gently, right before eating. The highest concentration of antioxidants in most of these fruits sits in or immediately beneath the skin. Aggressive scrubbing under hard running water physically strips a meaningful portion of these surface compounds away. Rinse gently under cool water. Pat dry with a soft cloth, and always wash immediately before eating, not hours in advance. Small habit, real impact. Rule 5. Hit the 60 to 90-minute window. Timing is not a flexible suggestion. Eat your fruit 60 to 90 minutes before sleep. Too early, and the active compounds are metabolized and cleared before your eyes enter their primary overnight repair phase. Too late, and active digestion disrupts the deep, slow-wave sleep your retina needs to actually complete its regenerative work. That 60 to 90-minute window is when these nutrients can arrive at your retinal tissue precisely during the hours of peak cellular repair. 5 rules. That is all. Simple enough to do consistently. Important enough to take seriously. Blurry morning vision. Struggling on night drives. Colors that seem less vivid than they used to be. The quiet sadness of noticing your world getting a little harder to see. These are not simply the inevitable price of getting older. They are signals, and your body is truly remarkable at responding. Given the right inputs, at the right time, consistently. 7 fruits, 5 rules, 160 to 90-minute window before sleep. That is genuinely achievable. Tonight, if you choose. Now I want to hear from you. If you woke up tomorrow morning and your vision was noticeably clearer, sharper, more vivid, brighter, what is the very first thing you would want to look at? Your family? A sunrise? The garden you have been tending for decades? A book you have been meaning to get back to? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one, and I genuinely mean that. If this video gave you something useful, please hit the like button. It helps this information find the people who need it most. Subscribe if you have not already, and share this with someone over 60 in your life who has quietly accepted that their vision just has to keep fading. It does not have to be that way. I am Dr. Adeyemi. Take care of your eyes, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.